was a triple. That was a triple.
A triple, I know, but yeah.
I was going to kid you about triples until I looked it up and saw you.
See how
You had
many I
50.
had?
You had 57 of them.
59.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I didn't know it either until somebody wrote me a fan letter one time, and I got 1 and 1. But somebody wrote me this fan letter and says, "Do you know you have more triples than Ozzie Smith?" And so that's the only time I looked at the statistic. That many triples.
I looked it up thinking I was going to kid you about it, and I saw
I know.
It was quite a few. You really got smart in the 2.5-hour plane ride from St. Louis to New York, didn't you?
Well, it was time to move. I mean, I understood what was happening. Dal Maxwell, who brought me over, he was fired.
Right.
And, I just had a feeling it wasn't going to be too long before I would go also.
I remember talking to Walt Jocketty at that time, and he was very disappointed that he had to do it, but he said he knew he had to, and you did too, I guess. Huh?
Well, I still make him pick up the check everywhere we go.
Good for you. There was an incident in the World Series this year, the obstruction business, and the thing that I was so impressed with was the transparency of the umpires with you in that post-game news conference. Many years in the past, the umpires would have been in their room and they'd send a pool reporter and he would come out with a notebook full of a few quotes. I thought it was tremendous the way you guys handled it because it was important to explain that and for the umpires to explain what they saw.
Well, to me, Ron, if we're going to educate people, I think we've got to do it ourselves. I mean, we can't rely on, I heard it from this person or that person. And this particular play, I was very proud. Actually, the postseason was great for the umpires. I mean, we missed a play at second base. I think it was in game 1, and they straightened it out before really the argument got too heated. But the obstruction call was it was interesting because here I am, I'm in the umpire's room because I try to beat the crowd coming down, so I'll spend the last inning in the umpire's room. And you don't know the feeling when you're sitting there watching, and there's a little bit of a delay on the television, okay?
Yeah.
And you're watching the play sort of develop, and all of a sudden you hear somebody outside say, "It's obstruction." Well, your heart goes into your mouth at this point in time. And then you watch it, and you watch the replay, and Jim Joyce called it right away, and Dana DeMuth, made the call at the plate. So, I was very proud that, the way they called it, it was no hesitation. The interesting part why people have never seen it, and the umpires who were on the crew never saw it, is the fact that was basically, that rule was put in basically at second base. Because, if a player steals, ball's thrown in the center field, and the infielder falls on that runner just to keep him from going to third base, that pretty much was the intent. And that's the first time any of my umpires had seen it happen at third base.
But they did it right, and I thought the transparency afterwards was really, really very well done. We mentioned earlier that you and Tony Russa were on a committee about the instant replay. We talked to Mr. DeWitt about that. Explain why you are in favor of that and what you think it might be.
Well, we had the home runs, which is you watch replay with home runs, whether they are or aren't, or interference on those types of plays. And the commissioner had said we were going to do fair foul, pass the bag, and also trap plays. And then there was a play that happened, not this past postseason, but last year, where a play at second base was a misplay, a tag by Cano at second base in the Yankee game. And I come to realize after that game was over, even though that play really didn't have a lot to do with the outcome, that there was more conversation about that than about the game itself. And baseball is a great game. I don't have to tell you people in St. Louis that's for sure. And I just felt that as long as technology is out there, I think we really have to look at it. And I think the one thing that both Tony and I and John Sherholtz from Atlanta, we're on the subcommittee that the commissioner appointed, is the fact that baseball has a rhythm to it. It doesn't include timeouts all the time like the other sports. So we need to find out how we can do this without really disturbing the rhythm of it. And at the Fall League in Arizona a few weeks ago, we tested the technology. Technology will work because we did a number of calls. In fact, one game, of course, we sort of forced the managers to really go out and challenge a lot of calls just so we could check on it. we had like seven calls and 6 plays. So, you know, you had 2 on one play, which confused the umpires and confused us up in the booth too. But we overturned a couple of them, but the technology gets it done quickly. I think we averaged between 55 seconds and about 1:15 seconds. So, I mean, that's how quickly we can get it
people
done.
fear 5-hour games. You don't think we're going to see that? 5-hour games?
No, we don't want to do that. No, you don't want to start timing the games with a calendar.
Joe, you've been around so long as a player, manager, executive. Can you name one favorite moment for you in this game?
Well, the one that come to mind, I was trying to think, you know, my first game in St. Louis was very memorable because I didn't get traded in 1969 till it was St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, and that's pretty late to get traded in spring training and go to a new club, especially a team had just been to 2 straight World Series. So it was a little jumpy about doing that and getting traded for Orlando Cepeda, who had just won an MVP for the Cardinals. And I remember game 1, we were playing, I think it was the Pirates, and I'm playing first base, and I'm 0 for 1, 0 for 2, 0 for 3, 0 for, it's an extra inning game. And about the 7th inning, Willie Stargell hits me a shot down and like with that overspin and everything. I kneel down to try to block it, and it hits me about 4 different places and goes in the right field. Well, Gibson was the pitcher, and he called timeout and called me over. And I said, "Oh my God, what's coming now?" You didn't realize how much I hated this man at one point, but I went out to the mound to see what he wanted, and he says to me, "When Stargell hits a ball that hard, don't get in front of it." You know, it sort of relaxed me a little bit, but I continued my 0 for 6 for the night, and but that's one comes to mind. And of course, the MVP season, which was magical for me here, and but the one thing that was always a void for me was the fact that we never did, reach the postseason during my playing days here. And I remember writing Gussie Busch a note, telling him how sorry I was that couldn't happen, but. I got lucky later.
To put you on the spot, one final question. The commissioner's retiring. If you were offered the job, would you take it?
Well, it's up to the owners.
If you were offered the job.
Well, first of all, if anybody wants me to do something to help baseball, and if they think that helps baseball, I'm going to do whatever they ask me to do, because I'm not ready to go pack it in yet. I mean, my wife keeps saying, when are you going to really retire? But I'm enjoying what I do. I mean, baseball, I love baseball. And the commissioner offered me this position a few years ago, and it's a significant job. It doesn't have the stress of trying to win ball games, but it makes a difference in trying to change the game for the better, and I really look forward to the work I do with them.
I'll take that as a yes, Mr. Commissioner. Joe Torre, ladies and gentlemen.